Welcome back. As I mentioned, we have Peggy Huang here and Ro Kendall, who are here on behalf of the Republican Club of Laguna Woods. Well, welcome both of you for coming in. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Nice to see you. All right, so before we get into the subject matter of housing, what I'd like to do is just sort of talk about each of you. Ro, how long have you lived here in the village, and how long have you been with the Republican Club?
I've lived here for 12 years now. It's hard to believe. Time flies. And I've been with the Laguna Woods Republican Club. This is my first session of being on the board.
Okay.
But I've been a member of the club for 3 years.
Okay. And were you involved in politics prior to moving here?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? Sometimes it's good to dip your foot in there and just sort of get all the information that's out there. And it's good to be informed for sure. And Peggy, how about you?
Well, I live in Yorba Linda. I served as a two-term Yorba Linda council member, and I just want to thank everyone here at Laguna Woods for your tremendous support. When I ran for judge, it was just so great to come out here and meet the residents. So I knocked on a lot of doors here, and so I want to thank you all. So currently I'm a Deputy Attorney General for the state of California in the criminal section.
Okay, all right, excellent. So the Republican Club is basically of conservative values. So tell me a little bit about, what people should know about the Republican Club.
I think the Republican Club is it's a political action group, really. We get very involved in things that we want to bring to the public's attention and guide them and show them. Like now we're doing this campaign to contact our representative for the Republican leadership.
Okay.
They're voting this week in Dana Point.
Okay.
So we're very hip on Harmeet Dillon. Mm-hmm. So we've got a new campaign now where we've got all that information out there. Mm-hmm. So we're really active in getting people involved, and there's a lot of people that want to do something.
Okay.
So that's our focus.
Would you say as a whole, is the Republican Club, are they pleased with what's happening right now, or are they not so pleased?
What's happening how?
I think it's just in general, if you look at maybe just the county, or if you look at our state, are they generally happy with what's happening, or is there more of a consensus that we might be able to do something else?
We have to do something else. Our state is just in a lot of trouble. Mm-hmm. And we have to do something else, but we can't do the state. We can't do the country. We have to start at our grassroots level, and that's the important part. The supervisors, the school boards, that's where we really have to focus, and that can grow into a much bigger effort.
Right. Well,
statewide.
I think that we look at the national news and we see what's happening across the country, and it's very overwhelming.
It is.
So it's a smart thing that you start in your own backyard before you can actually make a change. So would you agree with basically what they're trying to do?
Oh, absolutely. I think politics it's what's closest to you. And I think local government, I served in local government because I love my community. My community knows me. And so when you're trying to solve problems, come up with policies that affect people's lives, that local connection is the best. Mm-hmm. One size fits all doesn't work. Right. And a lot of times, here at the local level, we are, because we're focusing on our community issues, we tend to work across the line a lot better.
Yeah, right. Well, that's good. I think you're right with that, because you have to come together. Yes. Because, like you said, it may not be a partisan issue. It really is just more of a living issue, mm-hmm. which brings us to what we're talking about today, and it's the housing needs assessment, the regional housing needs assessment. What is that?
Well, regional housing needs assessment is something that it was started by the state of California back in the late 1950s and 60s, where they were trying to say, well, we don't have enough housing for everyone. So they started this process of what we need today to build today and what we need in the future in order to meet the needs of the people who are living in California or who will be coming to California.
Right,
so that's
okay.
how it all started. We just finished our 6th cycle, and it's 8 years. So we're almost in the middle of the 8-year cycle. It's 2020 to 2028.
Okay.
As you know, it's really hard to do projections.
Oh, sure.
So we have not been good in terms of projection and building. Some years we build too many homes, some years we just don't build at all.
Right.
And so it creates a issue in terms of whether or not people can afford the homes or homelessness.
Right. Well, I mean, we are looking at very high prices right now, and it doesn't matter if you're renting or if you're trying to buy a home, and then we have interest rates on top of that makes it really difficult.
tough.
Now, you said this has been around since 1950, and so has the premise of it changed, or is it always the same?
Well, the RENA is supposed to be a planning tool for the cities. Okay, kind of say, well, I'm going to look at our projection of how many people will come into my city and how many people will exit, how many people, birth to death. They look at all those data points here at the local level and using the regional housing assessment number, which is a number given by the state, saying, well, we think you need to build this many homes. But it's a planning tool for you to plan to build that many, but not actually build it, because you're going to be sensitive to what's going on in the community. It went kind of sideways starting in 2018 when the state started sending the signal and saying, no, we don't want you to plan. We expect you to build. Now that becomes a huge tension between the local government and the state.
Okay. All right. And if I'm reading correctly here, the city of Laguna Woods has a signed number of 997 units. What is that assigned for?
It's assigned for different levels of homes at different price points.
Okay.
So it goes from low, moderate, and then market value.
Okay.
And so the city of Laguna Woods has to set aside land to build.
Okay.
And 997 is a lot of numbers for a planned community like Laguna Woods.
So they're required to build that many, or at least have housing for that many type of
And right, so
homes,
in the
right?
past, you just have to plan, you don't have to build.
Okay.
But now, many changes in the law is making it so that you have to build it. And that is what we're faced with here at the local level.
How did COVID and all the lockdowns, and did that have any bearing on what this is?
Well, that's one of the things in Southern California. We told the governor, because of COVID, economic slowdown, you hear a lot about people moving out of California.
Right.
This number you assigned may not be reasonable, and the governor shut the door on all the local governments here.
I see. You mean here in Southern California?
Southern California.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, what do you think about that, Ro? I mean, obviously you live here in the village, and 997 units. How does that affect the people that live here?
I can't imagine where they're going to build it. I mean, we are a planned community, and what do we have to give up for that? I don't think we want to give up anything. I don't think that it's reasonable for a planned community that's already, we've been here how many years?
Right.
50, 60, 70, I'm not even sure, but a long time, and I don't see where it can happen unless they take away some of our housing and build a different kind of housing.
Okay. So what has been the proposal? So if they're controlling this up in Sacramento, are they looking around at different cities? Are they visiting, saying, oh, well, we want that spot, or we want that spot, or there's an open piece of land that we're going to take? How have they been handling it?
Well, they've been doing a one-size-fits-all. Basically, the state took away all the city control over land use. The best way to prevent this from happening, not prevent, but for the state to implement the policy is take away the local government's control. And by doing that, we used to have to follow the California Environmental Qualities Act. They're saying, hey, look, if you're building for affordable housing near a transit stop, a bus stop, within half mile of a bus stop, it could be a bus stop that doesn't even really have buses come by and every hour. But if you are, then you can bypass the Environmental Qualities Act. They are also saying now they're suing cities if you don't build or we don't like it, we're going to sue you. You know, Huntington Beach went through $1 million lawsuit. So that's how state is coming after cities. They've passed laws basically giving the builders by right development on commercial properties and golf courses. And so this way they're just going in and say, okay, well, your golf course, it's not performing, buying up that golf course, and then can bypass all the local permit rules, CEQA rules, setback, right? Instead of, a lot of cities might have 5 feet or 10 feet setbacks. Now it's like, well, we'll just 4 feet. I think the state is setting it at 5 feet. Okay. So the state is now making those requirements.
Oh, well, wonderful. Yeah. So then what can the people do here? If they do decide, well, I don't know how they would even go after the golf course, because it produces, and it's not something that they would be able to take away, that I would imagine, but there might be some additional land someplace. Like, what would they do here in the city?
We have to stop it. I mean, look what we did at the Ayers Hotel when the people, our community, said no.
Right.
We're not going to have a COVID center for the homeless in our community,
right,
with this age community. It wasn't a fair proposition. So we picketed, we got a lot of press, and we stopped it. And we have to do the same thing for this, I would think. We have to organize.
Well, and one thing that people can do, of course, is you have a meeting that's coming up in which you will be presenting this information that we're sort of alluding to today. But how much more in depth are you going to go in the meeting? Will you have specific things that they're looking at?
Yes, so last year a group of us came together under the leadership of the Redondo Beach Mayor Bill Brand. We decided to come together to start a citizens initiative. Okay. It's a tripartisan initiative, and what's so great about this initiative, to restore local control. So to get rid of all these state laws that have been taking away the local government's ability to plan and develop, is to restore it to local level and to protect our ability to voice our own concern, our ability to say what our community should look like. Right. So it cuts across the board. This organization that we started last year for this initiative, which is now growing over nearly 100,000 people across California. It's made up of Democrats, Independents, and Republicans.
Oh yeah, because that doesn't matter. Yeah. It doesn't matter because it's your home, and it's where you knew where you were moving to, and you thought, well, this is, like you said, a planned community, right? Well, then that just goes right out the window because it's not planned at all, and they're just going to change the landscape without you being able to do anything. You guys are calling this our neighborhood voices, correct?
Yes.
And then, at what point did you become involved with this?
Well, I actually got involved. I served as the chair of the RENA subcommittee for the Southern California Association of Government, and really got involved with the housing policy and looking at the numbers. So I was tasked with, the committee that I led was tasked with allocating 1.3 million units to all 197 cities and counties combined here in Southern California. And really had to negotiate with Sacramento over these units and realized that they had an agenda and did not care about anything else we were saying. We brought up concerns at that time. In middle of that negotiation with the state of California, Yorba Linda had a fire, a huge wildfire.
Oh, that's right, that's right.
In 2018. Talking to them about wildfire danger. Some places are not meant to be developed. Talking about water because it was a drought issue. Infrastructure, because I was looking at the 5 and the 91 and how to move people during this evacuation point. Fell on deaf ears because what I got was transportation, easy, get rid of cars. Water, easy. We just, new units will come with water efficiency system. High density housing will put in those type of efficiency in place. Save water, there. What's your problem? And that's what was given to me. The other thing was high density, no landscaping. Landscaping costs water, so great. Right. You don't need to put in any more front yards. So those are kind of their idea of solution to a huge problem, which is what infrastructure is.
So what's driving this? I mean, is it the fact that we are dealing with a very large homeless situation in, well, not so much down here, but in Los Angeles and then other surrounding areas? I mean, are they feeling a lot of pressure?
No, actually, when you drive down to it, you know, the groups that are backing these state policies, they use homelessness as a talking point. They use affordability as a talking point, but if you go back and look at all these laws, they don't do anything for homeless individuals. They don't do anything for affordability. It's really the drivers behind these laws have been Senator Weiner from San Francisco, who wanted everyone to look like San Francisco. No front yard. He thinks that it's wrong to even have yard. It's also been driven by high tech. High tech needed housing for its workers and said, wait, well, the best way is to have high density. And it's also driven by Wall Street wanting their investment back. But most importantly, the developers. Big land developers, not the small mom and pop developers, because a lot of them we work with them at local level, wonderful to work with. It's the real big corporations that have the ability to come in and just plow through. That's really been the drivers behind these policies.
Well, Ro, I appreciate the information about you know, bringing Peggy on and really alerting everyone to what's going on. And it doesn't just affect the village; it affects the city of Laguna Woods with those 997 units. Right. So let's go ahead and recap the meeting again. Let's tell everybody when it is. So go ahead.
It's going to be on February 3rd, Friday, 11 o'clock. And we feel so excited to have Peggy come and tell everybody what's going on. She's going to bring a PowerPoint, and we're going to get some good information out there. I think it's a really important topic.
Now, is there a petition or anything that's going around that they can sign at the meeting? Or is it really just making sure they have the authorities' information?
So right now we're in the final draft of the initiative. Okay. And then you have to submit it to the Secretary of State.
I see.
But we anticipate that we'll be starting the petition gathering in May. We did try in 2022, but with COVID, and it was still very hard to get the signatures. Okay. So we decided we're going to aim for 2024, and it's very well received.
Okay, good. So petition, and that'll come in May, and we'll hear more about it at that time. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it, and good luck to you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And if you want more information, of course, you can always go to the Republican Club of Laguna Woods.org, and the information will be there about the meeting coming up. We'll be right back.